I've noticed that the players that we hype up usually don't do well. And the players that we don't talk about and the players that go under the radar are the players that we're like, wow, this is incredible. These players are amazing. So, for example, I'll give you a few examples, okay? Coming out of Brazil recently, there was Vitor and there was Endrick. And these two players were so highly hyped up by Real Madrid fans and Barcelona fans and just fans across the world. And what we've seen from them over the first couple like introductions to major competitions or to European football hasn't been great. And I think it's because we put so much pressure on players and we start to hype them up at such an early age that it's really hard to live up to this. If you look at Endrick's performance against Uruguay recently, that was one of the worst performances we've ever seen, right? It just wasn't a good performance. I think the only pass he made in that entire game was the kickoff. Like that could be false, but it literally seemed like the only good pass he made was when he made the kickoff, right? So for me, what I'm trying to explain here is I don't believe Endrick is a bad player or Vitor. I just think that we put this pressure on these players and we start to expect so much from them. For example, João Felix, okay? I'm a Benfica fan. I know how talented João Felix is. And if you watched him at Chelsea and if you watched him at Barcelona, you guys saw seconds or minutes of how talented he is. But he can't put it together and be consistent at a major club like he was at Benfica. He was very consistent at Benfica, but he also was playing his preferred position at Benfica. When he got to Chelsea, when he got to Barcelona, a lot of times he was at the left wing. And even when he plays the Portugal national team, he plays the left wing, where I think his best position is behind the striker. But he never really got that opportunity to be in that position at a lot of these major teams. So you see like moments of him being really exciting, but didn't live up to 120 million. Are you kidding me? 120 million? That's not a price tag that you can live up to, right? He's failing massively when you look at the price tag and what he was supposed to accomplish. And then you look at Vitor and you would say he's failing massively, but is he really failing? Did he get enough PT? Did Xavi prefer Lewandowski over him? So he never played him. So there's that. And then there's Endrick, who gets thrown in against Uruguay, who, in my opinion, in South American football right now, Uruguay might be the best team in South American football behind Argentina or maybe equal to Argentina. They're incredible. Their attack is good. Their defense is solid. They're aggressive. They're a good team. And you throw Endrick, finally gets 90 minutes, and it's against Uruguay, a team that's looked incredible in Copa America. And then we're going to be like, I told you, he's not the guy they said he was, but he's literally like 17 years old and you're throwing him out there and against a really good team, right? But the guy that we didn't hype up, the guy that a few Barca fans hyped up a little bit, but no one really talked about was Yamal, because no one really knew. Yamal came onto the scene, kind of threw him in there. Xavi was like, all right, here we go. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, unless you're a Barca fan who watched academy football and he wasn't really hyped up the way Fati was and stuff like that. He kind of just went. And then he went to the Euros and you're like, whoa, this kid is actually him. Like, no one expected him to be this amazing star in the Euro. No one was really even talking about Spain. But this kid that no one hyped up that much, a little couple people on social media, on Twitter going crazy, but nothing to the point of Endrick and nothing to the point of Vitor and nothing to the point of even Fati when he blew up. And he's destroying the Euro. He is one of the best players at the Euro. I'll give you one more. Nico Williams. 21 years old. Who talks about him? Who talks about Nico Williams? Like who's going crazy about Nico Williams, bro? This guy has like a 50 mil buyout clause and no one snatched him up yet. Have you seen him at the Euro? He looks like the most threatening player at the Euros. This kid is ridiculous. No one can stop him. No one can hold him. His speed is wild. He is an outstanding player. But no one is overhyping him like that. No one's like, oh, Nico Williams. No one's talking about him like that. And it's the ones that we don't talk about that are slaying. And the ones that we talk about, the ones that we overhype, are the ones that a lot of people are like, not that good. I'll give you an example. Antonio Silva at Benfica. I think he's a phenomenal player, okay? I think he's great. But one of the best young center backs in Portugal is Inácio from Sporting, and no one talks about him. There's no one hyping him up. They're hyping up Antonio Silva. They're hyping up João Neves, which I love those players. I hope they stop hyping them so they don't leave Benfica. But Inácio is a phenomenal center back in Portugal, and you don't see these top European teams chasing him. And I'll tell you why. It's because what we do as a community is, like Benfica has a huge fan base, right? So then the fans get behind the player and we start pop, 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 and it becomes this big thing. Real Madrid, Barcelona, huge, huge communities. And you start seeing so much and hearing so much about them. And we overhype sometimes too early. And it really puts a lot of pressure on these players. Do I think these players care and they're seeing social media? Probably not. But it starts to become, a thing, and then how brutal we are. Let me explain. Antonio Silva made a bad pass in a game that didn't matter against Georgia in the Euros. Dude was slayed. The papers are all saying, all the websites, all the papers are saying, oh yeah, he was supposed to go to a top European team, but now nobody wants him. He's staying at Benfica. I'll take a step forward. João Felix, the kid didn't play any time pretty much at the Euro except for in a game that didn't matter. They put him in, instead of putting in Jota, instead of putting in Neto, who he was putting in during the group stage. He puts in Felix, who hadn't really got that much playing time. He steps up to a penalty, which he actually shot the penalty good. He just put it a little bit too far. And then everybody's like, "Oh, look at this! He didn't live up to his 20 million. He failed his country. He failed at Chelsea. He failed at Barca." And they're listing all the things he failed at. And it's like, bro, he's still young. He's still a young player that kind of lost himself in football right now. And instead of us as people bringing each other up, we shoot these players down. And I'm going to be honest, I think it's hard to be a footballer right now, or anyone in sports, because anytime you do one good game, everyone loves you. But the moment you mess up one game, we destroy these players like they're not human. We just go in on them like it's crazy. Like the amount of hate that João Felix has been getting just because Ronaldo fans are mad that he's out of the Euro is crazy. João Felix barely played any time at this Euro, bro. And yes, he had an opportunity to knock the ball back off of, like, people are like, oh, he missed a penalty. I don't care about him missing a penalty. More importantly, the only place I think João Felix really messed up for Portugal is when a ball came crossed in, he could have played it back inside to Ronaldo or to another player that was standing there, and he headed it towards goal. That's the only mistake I thought he had that whole game. Missing the penalty, bro, it's 50-50, bro. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. That's the way it goes. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm trying to explain is right now as a football community, we overhype certain stars and we put so much pressure on them. And then in our head, we think that they're, calling Endrick the next Pelé or R9 before he's even turned 20, to sit there and put that on him. Now we're watching the football game and we're sitting back like, all right, man, I want to see you be R9. I watched R9 play. So now when I'm watching Endrick, I expect for him to be this R9 type player. But what I've seen from him is a player that doesn't really know how to position himself correctly. At times, he looks a little bit lazy. I think he's young. He's going to get that. This passing's not the best. There's been so many moments where I'm like, well, I don't know about him. You know what I'm saying? And for me, what I'm trying to explain to you is it's all because in our heads, we big these kids, we big these young players up to be these unbelievable talents. And then right when we don't see it, we just start, oh, he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that, he's this. The amount of stuff that Victor's getting because he wasn't getting PT at Barca, or Real Madrid fans like, oh, look, you bought a terrible player, blah, blah, blah. It's wild, bro. The only player that I think has really lived up to the hype around him, but he doesn't get enough playing time, is Goulet. I think Goulet is really going to be the player that people say he's going to be. I think the kid is extremely talented, and I think he's a phenomenal player. But again, if we start right now comparing him to Zidane and Ronaldinho and to all these, Ronaldinho wasn't really the can, but Kaká or Zidane, if we start doing that, bro, he's going to fail. He's going to fail because we put these tags on these on these players, on these humans, and we're like, oh, he's going to be the next this, he's going to be that. And then all of a sudden you're watching, you're like, come on, bro. Like, I remember when people were saying Fati was going to be the next Messi. That's just crazy, bro. Like, what are we doing? Messi? Messi, we'll probably never see another Messi. We'll probably never see another Ronaldo. If I'm being 100% honest with you, and again, this is me doing it, and I don't want to do it. I don't even want to put it into the universe. But if there's any player that's playing football right now that can live up to even get close to Messi, and I'm not even saying he's going to get close to Messi and Ronaldo, but if he continues on the path he's on, a player that can excite us for the next 20 years, in my opinion, is Yamal. Because if Yamal beefs up a little bit, and if Yamal continues on the way he's going, it's only up from here. Not even Messi and Ronaldo at 16 years old were thrown into a major competition, a huge comp as a starter, bro. Like, he's starting at a Euro And he's not just starting, he's making left backs look bad. He is cooking people at a major competition. So when you look at that and you go, wow, if this kid doesn't take no injuries and if he continues on the path he's on, he could be a player, not like Messi, not like Ronaldo, but a player that is seen in that light of, wow, he really did something crazy in football, like the Dingos, like this. I'm not saying he'll live to be those guys. I'm just saying he can be in that category of this generation of a player that achieves so much, right? But if we start throwing a bunch of tags, I don't think we'll ever see anybody put up stats the way Messi and Ronaldo did. And the thing is, lads, is that we're kind of brainwashed, right? We're in a position in football where we saw a guy like Ronaldo and Messi scored 90 goals and Ronaldo scoring 60 plus and 50 plus for like 6 years in a row, all these crazy numbers that when you see like Haaland put up 20 for the season, you go, oh, well, that's not good enough if you ask me. But that's crazy, yo, because like 20 plus for a player is fire, bro. That's amazing. Like that's good stats, but we now are a little bit, we were so used to seeing something that it's hard to go back. Our brains are used to something, but we have to now remember that Messi and Ronaldo did what they did. They blessed us. They're moving on now, and we need to go back to accepting what is normal and not what is, out of this world. We need to go back to accepting what is good numbers and what is a number 9 and what is a winger, and you know what I'm saying. We need to go back to that and understanding like, okay, this is cool, this is okay. But yeah, man, I don't know. As a football community, I think we do put a lot of pressure on players. I think we put a lot of pressure on our teams. And again, it's a business, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, lads, I just think that Endrick is going to go on to have a great career. I think Victor is going to go on to have a great career. And I think Yamal is going to go on to have a great career. But I think that if we keep continuing to bash players the way we do, simply because the teams they're signed for example, Endrick is getting so much hate from Barca fans, and it just doesn't even matter. Like he lost for Brazil. He didn't play good for Brazil. Like when it's Barca versus Madrid in the game, like when they're playing each other in El Clasico, I understand bashing players, but when they're not even like in a competition where it matters, bro, that's like, yo, leave it alone. In my opinion, I think leave it alone. The same thing for Real Madrid fans. Real Madrid fans saw Victor failing, like, oh, look, you guys bought. It's like, come on, bro, like. We shouldn't like wish on players' downfalls, because these players being good is going to give us like an exciting time in football. Like Real Madrid fans right now should want Barca to get a good team. And I know you're like, nah, man, I want Barca to go to the second division. I get it. I say the same thing about Porto, right? But Barca being good at the same time Madrid is good is the reason that we got the golden age of football, right? When Barca had that phenomenal team with Xavi, Iniesta, and Messi, we had Ronaldo and all that, right? And we got to see these awesome competitions, these awesome La Ligas, these awesome El Clasicos where Messi puts the shirt up or Ronaldo takes his shirt off and flexes. We got those moments because both teams were really good. If Real Madrid is really good with Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, Vinny, and Barca's average, that's not good for football, bro. That's not good for nobody, right? Real Madrid is going to keep walking the Champions League. We don't want that. We want there to be good teams so we could watch good football. So I think us preying on like young players' downfalls is crazy, bro. Like I think that we should enjoy these players and be, I don't know. I'm yapping at this point. I don't know if y'all get where I'm coming from, but if we keep putting tags on these young players the way we do, it's going to be very hard for them to live up. It's going to be hard for João Felix to live up to 120 million. It's not his fault somebody paid 120 million for him. That's Atletico Madrid's fault. He just playing football. It's not his fault. You know what I'm saying? It's not Endrick's fault that Real Madrid bought him at 16 years old. It's not Victor's fault that Xavi wouldn't give him PT over Lewandowski, or Lewandowski's a phenomenal player. It's not always the player's fault is what I'm trying to say. Sometimes it's just bad decisions you make in your career. Or it's just, you play for a certain team and certain things come when you play for a certain team. You know what I'm saying? But I feel really, really bad. I'll give you one more quick example. Marcus Rashford, 2 years ago was, oh man, he's better than Vinny, man. Oh, Marcus Rashford having a crazy season. Oh, Marcus Rashford keeps going like this. He's going to be in the Ballon d'Or conference. The next season, he's not even playing. Next season on the bench, and everybody hates him. Fans telling to sell him, get rid of him, get him out of here, knock it off, get him, he's no good, get him out this team. Brother, 1 year to another, man went from being on top of the mountain to being on at the very bottom looking up. And it's like the fans low-key did that. Instead of, supporting and pushing the player back to where they could be, it's like, yo, let's bash. So